As the crowd buzzed with disbelief, the message whispered through the evening air, curling around each person like smoke. David felt a knot in his stomach. What could this ominous message mean? His hands gripped the edge of the table, the weight of expectation pressing down on him. He scanned the gathered faces. Curiosity and admiration mingled with a touch of fear. Doña Rosa's revival had sparked hope, yet the murmur of uneasiness lingered, thick like the dust in the corner of the room. Just then, a sudden gust of wind blew through, nearly extinguishing the candles that danced brightly just moments before. The laughter and joy began to fade. "Someone knows something they shouldn't," a voice murmured from the back. David turned, his heart racing. Before he could ask what they meant, a figure emerged from the shadows. Elena, a girl from the barrio with wild curls and fierce spirit. She stepped into the light, her brown eyes wide. "David, you need to listen." "What is it?" He felt a chill, as if the warmth of the evening was slipping away. "They found something about Señor Gregorio. It's not what it seems." A ripple of astonishment spread through the crowd. David stared at Elena, searching for a clue in her expression. "What do you mean?" He's been going around telling stories to big companies about our struggles. But he's lying. He's been taking food donations meant for the barrio and selling them for profit. He wants to use your cooking to make a spectacle, to make more money off our pain." Her voice trembled with panic. Gasps erupted around them. The air grew heavier, pressing down like a weight. David's mind raced. Gregorio wasn't just arrogant, he was a con artist. What did that mean for the food event? What did it mean for him? His heart sank. "They can't do this to us. He thinks he can own our stories," Elena pressed. "We have to stop him." Just as worries began to twist in David's chest, a siren sliced through the tension like a knife. The sound echoed in the distance, growing louder. Shadows danced, and a crowd turned their heads, eyes darting towards the alleyway. Then it happened. From the dimly lit street burst a group of uniformed officers, faces stern, hands on their belts. The crowd instantly recoiled. Murmurs turned into panic. What do they want? David felt a rush of fear. Was this about Gregorio? Or was this somehow connected to him? The officers swept through the gathering, their presence overwhelming. One officer stepped forward, his gaze locking onto David. "We've received reports of fraudulent activity in this area," he announced loudly, his voice cutting through the clatter. "Is there a Señor Gregorio here?" David's heart pounded. Could they already know? His eyes darted back to Elena, whose face had turned pale. "Please," she whispered, almost choking on her words. "Don't let them take you too." As the officer moved closer, the realization crashed over David. The truth was unraveling. The place he had always called home, filled with magic and love, was about to be exposed as chaotic and broken. Secrets he'd never known began to unveil themselves. What had his abuela hidden? The air thickened with fear as Gregorio's laughter cut through the night, cold and mocking. Every heart in the crowd beat rapidly, teetering on the edge of revelation. What would happen next? Could David not just heal with food, but also save what mattered most? He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of every soul around him. This was just the beginning. What would he choose in the face of truth? David took a deep breath, feeling the weight of every soul around him. This was just the beginning. Just as he prepared for what might come next, a distant shout rose above the murmurs of fear. It was laden with urgency, a cry that cut through the night like a knife. "I'm here! I'm here!" A figure emerged, panting and wild-eyed. It was Javier, David's closest friend. His shirt was torn, and his face bore streaks of dirt. The crowd shifted, stepping back in shock. "What's happening?" David asked, his heart pounding. Javier staggered forward. "They're coming for him. Gregorio. He has a secret. A terrible one." "What secret?" Panic washed over David like cold water. "What do you mean? He's not who he says he is," Javier gasped. "He's been lying about everything. His family, it's not just about the barrio. It goes deeper. He's hiding something dark, something dangerous." The crowd around them leaned in, mouths agape, and gasps echoed through the air. David's breaths came faster, his chest tightening. Elena's eyes widened. "What? What do you know, Javier?" "His last name isn't Gregorio," Javier managed to choke out. "It's Martinez. He's part of a family that lost everything, pain and debt. They were involved in something illegal, and they're looking for a way to regain power. He's using us, our stories, our pain." A collective gasp swept the crowd. David felt like the ground was shaking beneath him. This wasn't just about the cooking event anymore. This was about lives and trust. Javier continued, "And it doesn't just stop at money. I overheard him talking to someone dangerous. They want to take control of the barrio. They think they can push us out." The shadows around them seemed to thicken. The murmurings turned into cries of disbelief. Can it be true? David's mind raced. Was Gregorio somehow linked to the threats they sensed all along? The sirens grew louder, encroaching upon them like a wave crashing ashore. Would he be exposed along with Gregorio? Suddenly, a glint caught David's eye, a flicker of light reflecting oddly from Gregorio. He turned sharply toward the man, whose face twisted into a smirk as if he reveled in the chaos. "Tell them, David, tell them whatever will protect you," Gregorio sneered. "But let me remind you, everyone here is watching. They see the hero they want, not the truth of your kitchen and your people." "Stop!" David shouted, his voice breaking with desperation. Yet doubt haunted him, mingling with the heavy smell of spices in the air. What if Javier was right? What if his abuela's kitchen was just a cover, a mask beneath which secrets festered? "Gregorio," David said slowly, "if you're lying, if you're playing with lives, you won't get away with this. Tell the truth, or I swear." But his voice faltered. Just as he spoke, something unexpected happened. A gasp shot through the crowd. A lady stumbled forward, her face shocked. "It can't be. You can't be who we think you are." Everyone turned toward the woman, her voice shattering the tension like glass. "I know you. I saw you the night my son—" She couldn't finish, her eyes welled with tears. David's heart sank. Who was this woman? What did she know? Why did her gaze seem to pierce through the fabric of his soul? The atmosphere turned electric with fear and curiosity. "Can it be?" Elena whispered. "What did we miss?" The air shifted, pulling tight around them, like an impending storm. Anticipation built like the simmering heat from the kitchen. David could feel every heartbeat around him. Trust teetered on the edge of a sword, ready to plunge them all into darkness. He faced Gregorio directly, breathless with realization. "What is going on? Who are you really?" But as he spoke, the sirens blared closer and shadows descended, tightening. What had Gregorio hidden? What was David about to uncover? Would the ties of friendship fracture in the face of truth? The night had just begun, and a chilling dread lingered like smoke in the air. David's heart raced. "What is going on? Who are you really?" he demanded, his voice trembling. The tension in the air thickened, as if it could snap under the weight of the truth. Gregorio stepped forward, a smirk still plastered on his face. The flickering candles cast shadows that danced ominously around him. "You really think you can uncover my secrets?" he taunted, a sneer curling his lips. "Think again, Niño." Javier glanced nervously at the crowd, then back at David, desperation etched in every feature. "David, don't trust him. We can't let him twist our stories for his own gain." But the moment hung heavy, a pendulum swinging between trust and betrayal. The gathered crowd shifted uneasily, glancing between the two boys, their faces painted with a mix of curiosity and fear. The woman from the crowd, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, stepped forward. "I know you, Gregorio. Or should I say, Martinez?" Her voice broke the spell of tension, drawing gasps from those nearby. "Shut your mouth!" Gregorio snapped, but the fire in her gaze held firm. "Don't you see, everyone? He's hiding a darker truth. He's not just a con artist ruining our lives. He's been working with someone from outside our barrio. I met him once, and I warned you." Her voice trembled, desperation leaking into each syllable. David's pulse quickened. "What do you mean, outside?" "Who?" The air around them crackled with electricity, chaos brewing just beneath the surface. He turned to Gregorio, eyes narrowed. "Why are you doing this? Who are you working with?" Suddenly, another figure burst onto the scene, panic evident in his voice. "Everyone, get back! There's a loud crash interrupted, sending a wave of fear rippling through the crowd. A bright flash illuminated the night as the nearby vendor's cart exploded, flames licking the chaos of the night sky. People screamed, diving aside. David instinctively pulled Elena to safety. "Javier?" he shouted, searching for his friend. But the chaos swirled around him, voices mixing into a cacophony of confusion and fear. The dust settled slowly, and as the smoke began to clear, David noticed something strange. Gregorio stood completely still, his face pale, an expression of sheer terror morphing the confidence he once wore like armor. "What have you done?" Gregorio whispered, his voice shaken. "You were supposed to distract them." "Me?" the woman cried, bewildered. "What are you talking about?" Then, in an eerie moment of stillness, Gregorio turned towards the crowd, eyes wide with an unsettling realization. "They're not here for the food. They're here for me. No more lies." The crowd gasped, confusion morphing into something darker, more volatile. David's skin prickled as the truth hit him. Gregorio was more than just a schemer. He was the very danger they feared. Before anyone could react, Gregorio lunged into the darkness, disappearing into the alley, his desperate footsteps fading. The crowd erupted in panic, people shouting, pushing, trying to escape the chaos surrounding them. David felt a rush of anger fuel his feet, ready to chase after him. "We can't let him get away," he shouted. But Elena, breathing in quick gasps, grabbed his arm. "Wait, we have to figure out what he was hiding. This is bigger than us." And then, silence fell over the crowd, the tension thick enough to cut. A distant rumble rolled through the sky, thunder rumbling ominously, as David felt something shift inside him, a cold realization dawning. The woman's eyes widened, glancing between David and Elena. "You don't know, do you? He's not the only one hiding. There's more, so much more." "What do you mean?" David stammered, his heart racing. "Everyone here has a role to play in this. You, your family, it's all connected. You just have to remember," she whispered, hope mingling with despair, "or it could all be in vain." Just like that, the night spiraled into uncertainty, and David stood there wondering how deep the shadows stretched. What new truths awaited him? What secrets about his own family had yet to be unveiled? The chaos around them faded as one truth loomed large in his mind. When you dig a little deeper, sometimes you find far more than you bargained for. What were they about to unearth? David stood there, the air heavy with uncertainty, as the woman's words spiraled around him like a whirlwind. "You don't know, do you?" She looked at him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. Fear pulsed through the crowd, mingling with confusion. "What are you talking about?" David's voice trembled. "What do you mean we're all connected?" Elena's grip tightened on his arm. "David, listen! We need to—" Suddenly, a low rumble broke the night air, deep and ominous, like thunder growing closer. The ground vibrated beneath their feet. Panic swept through the crowd. People began to shout and scatter away from the makeshift courtyard, eyes wide with terror. "Everyone, stay calm," David shouted, his heart racing. But chaos erupted. and the crowd pushed against each other like a crashing wave, desperate to escape whatever was coming. Then, like a flash of lightning, a dark figure burst from the shadows, moving with an unsettling grace through the panic. "Let them go. Now!" The voice was harsh, demanding, filled with authority. A tall man stepped into the light, his face obscured by a hood. Gritty laughter echoed behind him from the alley as a group of burly figures emerged, surrounding everyone like wolves closing in on prey. Murmurs of fear rippled through the crowd, turning into a cacophony of screams. "Who are you?" David shouted over the noise, desperate to understand. The hooded man raised his hand, and silence fell once more. "Thick and clammy. You've all been too naive," he said smoothly, his voice slicing through the tension. David felt a chill creeping up his spine. "What do you mean?" "You've been handling things that are far above your comprehension," the man replied, tilting his head slightly. "You really think this is just about cooking and stories? This is larger than you can imagine." His gaze locked on to Gregorio, whose face paled even further. "You were supposed to keep them distracted while we set the stage, but here they are, caught in your lies." "I don't know what you're talking about," Gregorio protested, but his voice shook, betraying him. "Don't play dumb," the man snapped. "You're connected to something much darker, something you've shielded with your charming facade." "What?" David felt his stomach drop. "What do you mean? What have you been hiding?" Then it happened, an explosion of words. "His real name is Esteban Martinez," the woman from earlier cried out, shaking with fear. "He's involved with the cartels. He's been using us, our stories, our pain. He was here to bleed us dry." David's heart raced. Esteban, a part of something so sinister? Had everything been a lie? The sound of sirens faded into the background as every eye turned toward Gregorio, or rather, Esteban. The crowd gasped, shock painted across their faces. "This isn't just about you," Esteban shouted back defiantly, but the bravado cracked on his lips. "It's about power, control, and you all are in the way." Before anyone could process that, a flash of light flickered behind them. A black SUV screeched to a halt, windows tinted, engines roaring. Figures piled out, law enforcement, guns drawn. "Get on the ground," they shouted, forcing the crowd to react in a flurry of panic once more. Confusion engulfed David, thick and suffocating. The tide of chaos came rushing forward, pushing him back, his heart hammering in his chest. Everything he thought he knew fell apart piece by piece. And then it happened. A gunshot rang out, sharp and piercing. Silence swallowed the air as the bullet found its target in Esteban's shoulder. He fell back, clutching the wound, blood blossoming against his crisp shirt. David staggered back, eyes wide in disbelief. It all spiraled down. Lives had just changed in an instant. The truth hung over them like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. Would they ever find peace? As chaos enveloped them, David stood there, shaken to his core, wondering what the fallout of this explosive revelation would mean for the barrio, for his dreams, and for his very soul. David stood there, overwhelmed. The loud crack of the gun echoed in his ears as Esteban clutched his shoulder, the crimson spreading across his shirt like a disturbing bloom. The world around him morphed into chaos. Sirens blared, and the shadows and the officers loomed larger, sealing the fate of everyone present. "Get back!" an officer shouted again, pushing people away from the scene. David's heart raced. He wanted to move, to help, but fear anchored him in place. Elena, at his side, whispered urgently, "We've got to get out of here, if they think we're involved." Before she could finish, a roar of laughter pierced through the panic. It was Gregorio, or Esteban, his eyes relentless, despite the blood pouring from his wound. "Do they really think they can capture me?" he croaked out, defiance flickering in his gaze. In that moment, everyone held their breath, teetering between fear and disbelief. David watched as Esteban staggered backwards, leaning against the wall for support. You don't know what you're all wrapped up in, he yelled. They've been watching us every step of the way. A figure stepped forward from the rear of the crowd. It was Javier, shaking but determined. What do you mean? Who's been watching? His voice cracked, cutting through the noise. Your true enemy is closer than you think. Esteban continued, panting heavily. The stories you spill, the pain you share, they'll use it against you, just like they used me. What are you talking about? David shouted, but deep down, he felt a chill crawl up his spine. Esteban's eyes flickered around the crowd, locking onto a woman standing near the edge. You know, you've seen it. His voice quivered with desperation, but the woman remained silent, her expression shifting from fear to something far more complex. Suddenly, the crowd gasped again. The woman stepped forward, her hands trembling. I can't. It's too dangerous. They will find out. Find out what? David felt his heart drop. What's been hidden? But time twisted in a strange way then. The sirens drowned out his plea. The voice of the woman rang clear enough to silence the chaos around. I was the one who helped him. I didn't know it would come to this. He wanted to take back control. Control? Esteban spat out. You think this was just about power? It's about survival? David's breath hitched. Why did everyone seem to be tied together like yarn in a tangled ball? What do you mean? Suddenly, the woman's demeanor shifted. Your abuela knew, she exclaimed, her voice rising. She was part of it. The secrets she hid, David, they run deeper than you can imagine. A collective murmur rustled through the crowd. Confusion spread like wildfire. No, that's not possible. David felt a knot tighten in his chest as realization loomed over him. Your abuela was once involved with the cartels. She helped them hide, the woman accused, pointing a shaky finger at Esteban and then at David. You have her blood running through you. David staggered back, disbelief crashing over him like a tidal wave. His family, his home, everything he cherished suddenly felt tainted. Questions swirled in his mind like flocks of birds taking flight. Enough, Esteban shouted, clutching his shoulder, a haze of pain mixed with desperate anger. This isn't just a story anymore. It's a fight for our lives. Then, before anyone could react, Esteban dove into the shadows, disappearing from sight. David's heart raced as he scanned the crowd. Wait, we can't let him get away. But as he looked around, he realized the truth was now spiraling out of control. Broken trust and bleeding secrets surrounded him like fog. Elena's face fell in disbelief. What is happening? She asked, looking lost. I don't know, David whispered, feeling the weight of betrayal crush him. Would his family's secrets doom them all? What was yet to be uncovered? As uncertainty enveloped him, he wondered, would the very roots of his family tear apart everything he loved? What would unfold next as shadows loomed closer and whispered truths echoed in the night? David stood frozen, a chill creeping down his spine as the night unraveled around him. The truth about Esteban, his connection to the shadows, to danger, swirled in the air as fear clutched at him like a vice. The crowd buzzed, a pulsating wave of voices rising in panic. Elena's hand tightened around his arm, but the world felt like it was spinning. And then it happened. A loud crash echoed from the alley as a tall figure barreled into the courtyard, stumbling into the flickering light. It was Roberto, the neighborhood mechanic, known for his big heart and bigger mouth. But this time, his eyes were wide with panic. David, we need to get out. Now. David blinked, his heart racing. What? What's going on? Roberto didn't stop to explain. He grabbed David's shoulder. They're coming for all of us. I heard them talking. They know about Esteban, and they're coming for everyone who's involved. Before David could process that, a deafening roar surged from the crowd. "Get down!" an officer shouted, but it was too late. A van crashed through the courtyard, tires screeching, headlights blaring, and it plowed straight into the middle of the crowd, sending people scattering. "Run!" David yelled, adrenaline igniting every nerve in his body. He pulled Elena close as they dodged falling debris and panicked bodies. They sprinted, weaving through the chaos, his heart thundering louder than the commotion around them. But just as they reached the edge of the courtyard, a voice rang out over the din, a voice David recognized. It was Doña Rosa, the old woman who had almost collapsed earlier. "Stop," she cried, her voice like a beacon. "You can't run from this." David's head snapped in her direction, confusion mixing with fear. "What do you mean? We have to get out." "Listen." Doña Rosa stepped forward, her frail frame trembling but her resolve unwavering. "There's something you all need to know about Esteban. He isn't just a con artist. He's tied to something bigger, something darker." Elena shouted, breathless. "Years ago, your abuela was a guardian of a secret, a treasure hidden deep in the barrio. It's what Esteban wants. It's why he came here." David's stomach twisted. Was this true? Had his abuela kept something so monumental hidden? But before he could question further, the crowd surged as officers began to push through, batons drawn, demanding compliance. Just then, a second shot rang out, a flash of light bursting through the chaos. David turned, his heart in his throat, watching as a figure emerged from the smoke, holding a gun. "Stay back!" Esteban shouted, blood dripping down his arm, his face twisted in pain, but fierce determination glinting in his eyes. "I won't let them take what's ours." Murmurs swept through the crowd, eyes wide with shock and fear. "What are you doing?" one voice cried. "You'll get us all killed." But Esteban's focus remained fixed on Doña Rosa. "The treasure, it's cursed," he bellowed. "Only the chosen can protect it." Everything went silent, the tension hanging thick in the air. The crowd held its breath, fear mingling with disbelief. David felt the ground beneath him vibrate with the weight of revelation. "Chosen?" Doña Rosa replied, voice trembling. "You think you're the guardian? You and your lies? Enough." Esteban's eyes flared, pleading. "I'm trying to save us all from their greed. They'll kill us for it." But before anyone could react, a blinding white light enveloped the scene. David shielded his eyes, feeling a shockwave ripple through the crowd. When the light faded, in its place stood a figure, tall, commanding, with fire in their eyes. It was Rosa's daughter, Carmen, who had been lost for years, believed to be gone forever. "You don't understand," Carmen shouted, fierce and resolute. "Your loyalty to Esteban will destroy the barrio." The crowd gasped. David's heart raced. "Carmen? But how? What did she mean?" "Love, loyalty, and blood don't fade," Carmen continued, her voice rising above the chaos. "They twist and weave into a tapestry of fate." David's head spun. What did it all mean? The stories, the secrets, the ties that bound them. Esteban's fate hung in limbo, and with Carmen's return, everything he thought he knew trembled on the edge of revelation. What choice would he make now, with the truth crashing down like a storm? The darkness loomed ever closer, and the question echoed in his mind. Was family worth it, even when the secrets they hold threatened to tear everything apart? David stood there, words hanging in the air, as Carmen's return sent shockwaves through the crowd. The tension was thick, none daring to breathe as her presence shifted everything. "You don't understand." She shouted again. "Your loyalty to Esteban will destroy the barrio." A shudder ran through David, the knot in his stomach twisting tighter. "Carmen, how is this possible? You were gone." "I had to leave to protect us all," she replied, her eyes fierce. "You're all wrapped up in something dangerous, and Esteban is at the center of it. Hiding our truth isn't the answer." Esteban cried, blood trickling down his arm, his face a mix of rage and desperation. You think you can protect them with half-truths? Stop it, Doña Rosa yelled, but the din grew louder, voices overlapping, confusion swirling like a dust storm. The crowd was in chaos. Just as David felt the ground shift under his feet, a loud crash echoed behind him. The sound splintered through the night, arresting everyone's attention. A figure stumbled into view from the smoke. Javier, eyes wild, dragging a hooded man behind him. "This is him," Javier shouted, his breath ragged. "He's the one who's been pulling the strings." Gasps bubbled through the crowd. The mystery man's face emerged as his hood fell back, revealing a familiar face, one David recognized from faded family photos. "No, it can't be," David gasped. Is that your father?" Oena whispered, disbelief settling like a weight on her chest. "Dad?" David's heart raced, recognition wrapping around dread. His father had disappeared years ago, presumed dead. The crowd turned silent, waiting for the next move, waiting for David to respond. But before anything could be processed, the hooded man spoke, his voice low and menacing. "I didn't choose this life. It chose me. Esteban isn't just a con. He's my son." Shock rolled through the crowd like thunder. David staggered back, the revelation hitting him harder than a punch to the gut. "What do you mean?" "It's all connected," Esteban said through clenched teeth, refusing to back down. "You thought you could walk away from your blood? You thought your secrets wouldn't find you?" David felt a cold sweat break out. Memories flooded in, his father's warnings, the fear behind closed doors. "What are you hiding from me?" he demanded, eyes darting between the two men who claimed his identity. Just then, chaos erupted. The sirens returned, louder this time, mixing with the shouts of confusion. Officers rushed the scene, aiming their guns. "Everybody on the ground," they yelled, their faces set with determination. In the sudden noise of boots pounding the earth, David froze, heart racing. His father and Esteban exchanged tense glances, the air thickening with unspoken words and shocking truths. "We have to go," Javier cried out, pulling David away. But his feet felt glued to the ground as the crowd erupted again, fear rippling through faces he knew, faces he'd grown up with. The connections drawn with blood and betrayal hung heavy in the air. "How could you?" David finally shouted, voice breaking, caught between two worlds, a family he didn't understand and a barrio fighting for its life. You both lied to me." And as the officers advanced, guns drawn and chaos enveloping them, Esteban stepped forward, pushing David behind him. "I'll protect you," he said fiercely, desperation spilling from his eyes. "Protect me from what?" David exclaimed, feeling more lost than ever. "From the truth?" The gunshots rang out again, and David's heart dropped. The lights flashed, the crowd pushed, and all David could do was watch as everything he thought he knew shattered before him. He stood there, gasping, questioning who to trust, who to fight for, and what this meant for the barrio he loved. And then, like a bolt of lightning, realization struck him. What if the treasure his abuela had kept secret wasn't a thing, but a choice, one that would turn everything upside down? Would choosing to confront his father mean breaking the ties of blood? In that moment, as the night closed in, he felt the weight of every decision ahead, every truth yet to be faced, looming over him, begging to be uncovered. David stood there, frozen, as the truth unfurled around him. His heart pounded, bleeding confusion and desperation into the thick air. "What do we do now?" he shouted over the chaos, trying to make sense of the wild scene. Suddenly, Carmen stepped forward. Her eyes fierce. "We fight. We stand together," her voice rang out, igniting a flicker of hope in the crowd. But as her words settled in the air, a deep rumble echoed through the chaos, vibrating beneath their feet. Everything went still for a moment, tension hanging like a heavy fog. Then, a blinding light exploded, illuminating the courtyard and casting eerie shadows against the walls. David shielded his eyes, heart racing. In the midst of the confusion, a loud crack filled the air, and a massive drang zipped overhead, trailing thick, dark smoke. It loomed larger and larger, casting a shadow over the crowd. David's breath hitched in his throat. Was this more chaos unleashed upon them? The officers reacted quickly, shouting commands and raising their weapons. "Get down," one officer yelled, but panic swept through the crowd like wildfire, their movements frantic. And then, like a bolt from the blue, a figure descended from the drone, swinging in on a wire. The crowd gasped, confusion morphing into something deeper. The figure landed gracefully amidst them, pulling the mask away to reveal a familiar face. David's childhood friend, Felix, the one who had disappeared all those years ago. "Felix," David stammered, shock zapping through him. His friend's return felt like a fever dream. "Is it really you?" "David, we don't have time," Felix shouted, urgency spilling from every word. "You need to listen to me. They're not only after Esteban, they want you too." "What? Why?" Confusion mixed with fear tangled in David's mind, thick as the smoke that hung in the air. But Felix kept his eyes on Esteban. "Everything you think you know, it's tied to the treasure. But worse than that, it's not just Esteban who's been lying." His voice wavered with emotion. "It's in your blood too." David felt a coldness creep into his bones. "What do you mean, in my blood?" Before Felix could answer, the sound of shattering glass pierced the frenzy. A window exploded in the nearby cafe, sending shards flying and screams erupting from the crowd. Chaos soared, bodies jostling and stumbling, pushing against each other in frightened disbelief. "Stay together!" Carmen shouted, struggling to be heard. But as the chaos continued, David sensed something deeper lurking beneath the surface, a darkness charged with energy. Details from his childhood swept through his mind, whispers from his abuela's kitchen, secrets cloaked in warmth, shadows dancing just out of sight. "Your family has roots in that treasure, David," Felix pressed, eyes frantic. "I was part of a group trying to secure it, to protect our barrio from those who would exploit it. And now they know you're here. They'll come for you as soon as they realize who you are and who you were meant to be." Heart racing, David's world began to tip. What did my abuela get wrapped up in? Suddenly, the crowd surged as officers tried to control the chaos, but the energy grew thicker, more fractured. The laughter of the outside world faded, replaced by an ominous chant echoing from the distance. Human figures emerged, dressed in dark clothing, faces obscured. "Who are they?" Elena shouted, her voice barely carrying over the rising tide of noise. "They are the ones who want the treasure. They will do anything to reclaim it," Felix shouted, pushing closer to David. "We need to get out of here now!" But then, before anyone could react, the ground shook violently, as if the earth itself protested against the revelation. From below, a deep rumbling erupted, and without warning, fissures opened, threatening to swallow everything whole. David felt fear grip him tightly as he stumbled backwards, his heart in his throat. What was happening? What truth lay just out of reach, threatening to unravel everything he had ever known? As the world around him spiraled into chaos, one horrifying thought struck him. Could he be the key to unlocking a fate written in shadows, entwined with darkness he hadn't even begun to understand? And as the ground cracked further, the ultimate question loomed large. Could he save himself and his barrio from the sins of their past? David felt the ground shake beneath him, the fissures growing wider as he stood in the eye of the storm. The voice of Felix echoed in his mind. "You have to stand together." He turned to face his friends and the crowd, all of them united by fear, resolve, and a flicker of hope. "Listen up," Carmen shouted, commanding attention despite the chaos. "We're stronger when we fight for each other." Just then, Esteban, still clutching his shoulder, broke through the frenzy. "I may have made mistakes, but I won't let them erase our stories. Together we can protect our barrio." David felt a surge of determination flooding through him. This was not just about him or his family. It was about everyone who had ever suffered from betrayal and greed. "We won't back down," he shouted, his voice rising over the din. "We stand for our community." The crowd erupted in a roar of approval, their voices merging into a single declaration of resistance. The officers hesitated, looking around, sensing the shift in energy. "Stay united," Doña Rosa urged, wisdom shining through her fear. "This is our moment." As the dark figures advanced, David felt invigorated. He glanced at Felix, who nodded, giving him strength. Together they faced the approaching shadows, hearts pounding but spirits soaring. The ground trembled again, but this time it felt different, less like fear and more like the pulse of a collective heartbeat. "We will rise," Elena declared, lifting her chin defiantly. "We're not just stories. We are living proof of our resilience." The ominous shadows paused, faltering under the weight of unity. David's breath caught in his throat. "Now, show them!" he shouted, rallying everyone. They surged forward together, a wave of movement, voices rising in harmony. The police hesitated, unable to penetrate the wall of determination that surged before them. And at that moment, Carmen broke through the stranglehold of fear. "This is our home. You can't take it from us." Esteban, somehow finding strength amidst pain, stepped into the light. "We will protect our treasure, not just for us, but for future generations." The crowd cheered, empowered by the truth, fueled by shared memories, their lives entwined through laughter and tears. And then, the impossible happened. A surge of light erupted from the cracks in the earth, illuminating the darkness. The drone overhead pulsed, as if echoing their cries, a symbol of hope drawing nearer. In a sweeping motion, light enveloped the shadows, pushing them back. "Feel that?" David gasped, realizing it was their collective spirit breaking through the chaos. The sinister figures trembled, consumed by the growing brightness. Voices of their ancestors, long silenced by fear, rallied around them. David's heart swelled with purpose. Let's show them who we really are. And with a final, monumental push, they together marched into the heart of the chaos, their purpose clear. But amid the fire and fervor, David wondered, would this break the chains holding them back? Or was this merely the beginning of a much larger storm? As laughter erupted and friendships intertwined with unbreakable bonds, the night lifted, transformed. And just like that, beneath the glimmering stars, hope blossomed anew. But now, you've got a front row seat to an incredible journey. You have to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss out on all the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive. Flood those comments with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait another second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to dive into this adventure. Your support means the world, and only true fans understand how much every click matters. Let's keep this journey going.